Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2004 Honda Accord EXL. Up front is a 3.0 liter V6, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Honda Accord for a couple of reasons. First of all, I haven't done the Coupe V6 of this generation. I've done other Coupe V6s before, but this is the 7th generation, and so we're going to take a crack at it here today. The second reason I'm excited is because this vehicle has over 250,000 miles on it, over 250,000 miles, and it's still running, and we'll talk about how that was achieved a little bit later on. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3-liter V6. Well, that was the upgrade for the Accord of this era. You could get a 2.4-liter inline-4. That was a K-Series inline-4. This is the bigger option with 240 horsepower. That is a pretty solid number. It's a single overhead cam VTEC engine, and this is definitely what you want in terms of driving feel. That added torque, that added power, the extra cylinders, really help make this feel fantastic. Here we go. It's fun to wind up. It really is, and it just has that really solid punch. It's a solid bite to it that I love out of V6s. The inline 4s are great, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but if you want the drivability, the power, the V6 is the way to go. It's just a lot better of an experience. Here we go. Woo! That's the goods. That's the goods. However, there is a downside. This transmission, the 5-speed automatic transmission, is not very reliable. It's okay, like in terms of worldwide reliability, it's okay, but for Hondas, they're not. This vehicle is already on at least its second engine and transmission, but the transmission is that weak point, and when you do opt for the V6, that does decrease the life of your transmission quite a bit, just because it has to deal with more power and torque through the same transmission that's shared with the 4-cylinder. Now, that's not too out of the normal, because Honda of this era did not have very good transmissions. The late 90s, early 2000s Honda Odysseys were all plagued with transmission issues. The Acura CL, of which this car shares a fair bit with, had awful transmission issues. Now, luckily, the owner was able to get a brand new transmission for this vehicle, no miles, for $1,100. So it's not the end of the world, but it is something to note. And once the light starts flashing that your transmission is going out, the owner had about 9 more months of driving on it before it actually went kaput. So there are some fail-safes built in there, but the transmission is something to think about. Last but not least, this is front-wheel drive, as no Accords of the era were all-wheel. How does it feel to drive the Honda Accord V6 Coupe? I really like it. This driving experience is fantastic. And it really is due to that V6. Now, as I mentioned, it can kind of be problematic and end up deteriorating your drivetrain reliability, but that V6 offers a really solid driving experience, and that is sort of the crown jewel of this experience. And again, not to sound like an old head, but now that the Accord doesn't offer any type of V6, it is kind of sad to see how far the Accord has fallen, but we won't get into the modern stuff. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is a tachometer, in the center is a speedometer, off to the right is the coolant temperature and fuel. On the steering wheel, we do get volume and channel as well as mode off to the left, and our cruise control settings off to the right. To the left of the steering wheel, we do have a big climate control vent. We have our sunroof options as well as our traction control off. Moving on to the door, we have our latch to get in and out. We have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. And moving into the center, we get 2 climate control vents with the hazard switch. Our climate controls, I adore how small these climate controls are. Super dainty, super out of the way, but I love that. It's not this giant showboatiness, it's not a screen, it's not anything flashy. Dual zone climate, fan speed, where to send it, done. That's it. No guff, no hubbub here with the climate controls. Down below, we do have an aftermarket radio. And then we get a cubby and the shifter down in the center. Now, to the left and right of the shifter, we do get heated seats. This is the EXL, which was the top trim level here for the Accord. So we got heated leather seats, which is very nice. Shifter, very prominent in the center, easy to use, easy to navigate. And then we have cup holders. We'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and it fails the big friggin' bottle test by millimeters. So these are still pretty big cup holders. They will accommodate a lot. They just don't accommodate our silly little green bottle test. Then we do have a center console and the seats. As I mentioned, because the L at EXL means leather, we do have leather seats. They are comfortable, they are heated, and I'm enjoying them here today on this chilly Chicago morning. And you kind of sink into them, you know, they almost feel a little bit late 90s in that sort of way where you still sank into them before we started putting 18 airbags and modules and all these things into our car seats that make them stiff. This was still comfortable and somewhat of a luxurious touch piece here for the Accord. However, speaking of seats, unfortunately for me, we do have back seats in a coupe. So let's hop back there. All right, getting in the back of the Coupe Accord. This is my least favorite part of the job. Okay, so we are in the back. Once I am back here, if I take the sunglasses off my head, I'm coming close to hitting the ceiling, but I am not, as you can see by this beautiful camera angle. Sorry to give you nightmares. I actually fit back here. It's not terrible. I can move this seat back up, and as you can see, we have a little foot pedal down here so I could get myself out. I can't physically move the seat back, but if you look over here, it would get pretty cramped in the standard position, but the passenger can be nice and whatnot. We do have cup holders, which is pretty decent. Get a light, I guess, but overall, it's not anything crazy. Can you fit people back here? Yes. It's not ideal, especially doing what the owner does. He does like DoorDash and delivery services and stuff. He says the coupe has been a big hindrance just because he'll get big orders and it's not very spacious. We'll talk about trunk space here in a second. So it's one of those more lifestyle cars. You know, I would again probably get the sedan in this case, but the back seat works. You know, if you like the coupe, you want the coupe, you need the coupe, there you go. That is what it looks like. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. So to pop the trunk, come in here, pull it like that, and we do have the trunk here. Nothing really too crazy to note. The trunk space is okay. You know, for a coupe, I'll say it's pretty decent, but for a car you're gonna live with, the owner says that delivery stuff, you know, if he has to pick up a table, he can't really do that. He used to have a station wagon, so this has been quite the downgrade in terms of space. Coming from a station wagon, as you would be able to tell, we do have a nice Honda Accord badge down there. That's pretty sweet. And we do have a slight identity crisis here on the trunk, but other than that, that is the rear trunk space of an 04 Accord Coupe. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and of course this vehicle has seen a thing or two. It does have new headlights, which is very nice, but this has been around the block a couple of times, so don't judge it on that. I like the look of the Accord Coupe. I've always been more of a sedan fan, just in the way that it looks. I think the sedans are a little bit better proportioned, and I do have a manual 4-cylinder review of this generation on my channel. I'll show that car here, but I'll also leave a link to that review at the end of this one. I think they're relatively handsome. I don't really like the back ends of them, so this car isn't getting a Valentine's Day card from me this year, just in terms of the looks. But it's personality that counts, right? Right? Anyway, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Honda Accord Coupe with a V6? Well, as I kept harping on earlier in the video, this car drives fantastically, and you have to remember that it's up at 250,000 miles. Yes, it has a new engine and transmission, so it should drive like new. However, the rest of the body has seen 250,000 miles of dirt and grime and potholes. This car has seen 22 winters, 22 summers, 22 autumns, and 22 springs. It's been through a lot. And yet here it is, moving, going, operating. And it's doing it without a whole lot of complaint. Now, yes, the transmission and engine have been replaced. So saying that this is a completely reliable vehicle, I get it. However, at 250,000 miles, It's kind of to be expected, and Honda parts are not that expensive. And so, while yes, it needed a heart transplant, it's pretty easily done this day and age. And so it's not that much of a worry. I would still categorize these as reliable cars. Just if you go to buy one, ask about the transmission, ask if it's been replaced, if it has been replaced, when, by who, simple questions like that. But honestly, once you're past that, these cars are great and they drive great too. The owner, Joseph, has purchased the new transmission and engine, and so now he's gonna have a reliable car for the foreseeable future. Will that transmission go out again? Maybe one day. Sure, maybe one day. But for now, it's great, and it serves the purpose that he needs it for. Joseph is a little bit of a nomad. He goes where the wind goes, and he goes where the work goes. And this is his steed of choice, and I think it works very, very well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Joseph for not only letting me review his Accord, I also reviewed his Subaru Outback many a moons ago, but also for coming out here to frigid Chicago so I could film his car. He's absolutely wonderful. I always appreciate working with him, and I look forward to seeing what he ends up getting in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.